Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Slow Flowers Show with Deborah Prinzing. And we've got a fabulous show today. I'm so excited. All my guests are coming to us from Canada, and we're going to be talking about the food and flower scene and storytelling. And we're going to wrap up with one of our members, Jaimie Reeves of the local flower collective. And you're going to get to see a really fun video. First of all, I want to thank Craig Conoley and David Thomas for joining us. David, you are here as the president of the Open Food Network, and you're kind of the glue that everybody is sticking everyone together here. So, could you talk about what OFN is and how you work with farmers,
Well,
and what your scope is?
yeah, thanks very much for having us, Deborah. This is a really exciting opportunity for us. In terms of Open Food Network, so we're a nonprofit. We're a little unusual in that we also develop technology. So we develop in open source. We've got a range of projects on the go, but the thing that we're most known for is the Open Food Network platform, which is an e-commerce and supply chain platform that's kind of built for agri-food and also obviously flour, like that short supply chain purposes. So we developed this software with the goal of allowing supply chain coordinators and marketplace coordinators to aggregate products from a bunch of local farms and that make them available to consumers and buyers in their neighborhoods.
So, really, you're doing the work for the farmer because they want to be growing and not behind a computer screen all day, right?
That's definitely the goal. And so alongside the tech development, there's the platform that we're known for. We are starting to do a little bit more work in the area of interoperability. This is kind of like an emerging need as more and more tools enter the marketplace. And there's a kind of bit of fragmentation going on. So we're working on this common digital language to allow for different agri-food and food and farming tools to communicate with each other. And alongside that kind of tech development stuff, I think one of the things that makes us pretty unique as an organization is that we do quite a bit of like grassroots community programming as well. So that'll be focused on offering training, resources, strategic planning services, even proposal development and that kind of thing that can help people kind of integrate our technologies into the projects that they're running and make the best possible use of them.
Wow. So the sales platform is the one that is the most kind of translatable, that people who are used to buying anything online or
Absolutely.
selling anything online, that's solving a big pain point for farmers and their consumers.
Sure. And like folks are using it both it has that kind of typical e-commerce interface where you see all the products displayed, you can add them to your basket and you can check out. So we provide that for consumers, but then as in the case with the local flower collective, there's also scenarios where it's more of a business to business focus. So you have farms selling, yes, direct to consumer, but then also people are using the platform to support business to business use cases.
For wholesale sales, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can you just give an example of what this other technology you hinted at? Because I am so behind on catching up with you. Is it like
Yeah.
an app or something?
Essentially, it's kind of like what we've been building is the kind of background standards and digital assets. But essentially, what it's going to result in is the delivery of kind of like if you're involved in like online marketing at all, there's a product called Hootsuite, which allows you to kind of schedule posts across multiple different e-commerce channels without having to log into every one of them. So this is that kind of a tool. It'll integrate with a variety of different e-commerce and even like farm management platforms and allow you to manage inventory and sales from one place. Because
Wow.
it's becoming quite typical that folks have more than one online sales channel. And then this leads to a bit of a kind of headache in terms of just the data and admin overhead of like transferring the inventory back and forth across tools and having to manage it manually. So our hope is that we're to develop tools that kind of lower the bar to entry and make things as simple as possible for people.
I love it. Now you're based in Toronto, that's correct?
Actually, we're based in St. Agatha, so just outside of Toronto,
Okay.
in a rural community. We were founded by actually one of the partners in the local flower collective, Teresa Shumalis. She's a specialty cut flower farmer and also a food systems researcher. She founded OFN Canada, I think it's back in 2017, and she's still very much involved in the project. So she runs some initiatives and different programming, but in recent years, kind of I took on the directorship and sort of development of proposals and
Oh,
partnerships.
wow. I am so happy to hear that. Oh, you'll have to tell me more about her, Jaimie. I was here thinking like, flowers are always late to the table. These systems are designed for food agriculture and the culinary world and the food farming world, and flowers finally get to the program. But in this case, the innovation came from a flower farmer. So that's, if I'm hearing you right, that's cool. Um, David, you talked about community and grassroots, and I'm just wondering, we're going to hear to talk about this Women Leading Change video series that you collaborated with Craig Conoley on. Is that sort of what inspired this? And talk a little bit about this video series, and we'll watch the 5-minute, beautiful 5-minute film that you all produced.
Yeah, sure. So I think our goal there really was like one of the things that people want when they're buying locally and they're buying sustainably, I think, is a renewed sense of connection with the sources of the food or the sources of their flour and the people behind the products that they're consuming. And so often in local food or local farming circles, folks are generating those connections via attending things in person. So it could be via farmers market or farm gate sales, that kind of thing. In our scenario, obviously, there's lots of people are procuring their products digitally online. So there's a tension there. And it was our thought that, well, with the rise of kind of like, with TikTok and the impact that that's had in terms of like really pushing video storytelling to the forefront of social media, we thought, well, here's an opportunity to run a project where we kind of leverage this new, like something that's really kind of a growth area for social media, which allows for a much more intimate style of storytelling than sort of blogs or like sort of graphic design based posts. It's something that can really allow you to get up quite close to the work that people are doing. Actually, then Craig's done amazing work with that. I think the videos are really intimate. They're really it gives a really wonderful sense of connection and community. And then you also have these nice kind of technological bells and whistles like the drone flyovers that allow you to get this really kind of comprehensive picture of the different farms involved in the project. So in all of these ways, we thought, well, here's an opportunity to kind of use digital technologies, which can sometimes in the contemporary environment be something that leads to division. Here's an opportunity to use them in a way that allows for us kind of storytelling that builds community and builds intimacy in the way that we think people want it.
Wow. And why did you choose, or what's behind calling it the series Women Leading Change? Is it just that there's so many women entrepreneurs and solopreneurs in the agriculture world?
I think fundamentally, yeah, when we look at the kind of, because most of the projects that we're working with are they're hyper local. It really is short supply chains. It's predominantly small scale, maybe some medium scale farms as well. And in our experience, the vast bulk of people organizing these initiatives, organizing the marketplaces, organizing the supply chains, making the connections, building the community are women. So this kind of theme just like suggested itself just by the nature of the people that we work with. And I should mention too that this project was funded by AAFC, the federal government in Canada. And they were looking for projects that kind of showcase Canadian agriculture and sustainable agriculture in a favorable light. And we thought, well, with these folks, folks like Jaimie and the Local Flower Collective and some of these other women across Canada, we can think of a better example, really, of projects that are showcasing Canadian agriculture in the best light.
That's great. So you partnered with Craig Conoley, and Craig, I'm going to bring you on now. You own Celebrate, which is an agency outside of Ottawa. Hi, Craig.
Hi.
Before we started recording, you were telling me your background is both in like big agency marketing and documentary filmmaking. So I guess this is kind of a culmination of those skill sets, right?
Yeah, it's a mix of what I would call branded documentary. And, because I come from a documentary background, I wanted, and also, an advertising background, blending those two things together, I think makes a very compelling and engaging way to tell, stories, important stories.
Yeah. Well, we're going to look at the video in a minute, but I just am so fascinated with the process because in the case of the film about the Local Flower Collective, you interviewed so many people and you visited so many farms. So it's mind-blowing to look at a 5-minute video but realize there were weeks or if not months of filming behind it. Like how did you go about putting this story together?
Yeah, so we basically spent about a week in the field per hub. And so per hub, then we had on average, seven supplying producers. So the goal was to create a longer piece on the hub and then also farm tour videos for each of the supplying farms.
Wow.
So that it's a very holistic approach to the storytelling and everybody would benefit in a marketing way from the project.
I love it. It's so cinematic. And David mentioned the technology like drone photography. I mean, that is definitely the first thing you see when you look at the video about the local flower collective. Your mention of hubs make me just curious. Like, how many films did you in the series have you produced, and what types of farming is represented? David, you can jump in too on this because I'm sure there's a sort of a series that it's continuing on if you get more funding.
Yeah, David, did you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. We've got we have like 5 different kind of, when we say hubs, we're really looking at, it could be anything from like a wholesaler to there's one of the projects is a network. It's like 3 different farmers markets in Huron County who are using the same like kind of digital marketplace. Then we also have like co-op in Montreal. It's an aggregating produce from like the region. We have a co-selling project out in BC, and then we have more of a kind of urban agriculture / food security project that's actually in the St. Jamestown region of Toronto. So yeah, there's those 5 projects. We'll be rolling them out like roughly on a kind of like things like 2 to 3 week cadence. We're actually today, the second hub video is launching. So this will be focused on the Montreal hub cause. And then there will be over the next few days, over the next week or so, we'll be kind of trickling out the farm videos as well. And then we're going to take a break because of the holidays. And then we'll be resuming in January and running out the rest of the projects into like mid-February.
Wow, that's so great. And so people can view these on OFN's website.
Yeah, you can find us either at our website, so Open Food Network Canada, .ca, or I think maybe one of the best places to kind of see stuff organically is at Instagram. And so you can find us at OFN Canada. And that's like sort of really that's become the primary kind of platform that we've been like sort of releasing the videos through and getting the most engagement.
Wow.
So
okay.
Cool.
And we'll share all those links in our show notes at slowflowerspodcast.com because I just think it's fascinating. And the fact that you are serving hubs across Canada, it's obviously it makes sense that you have different examples geographically across the country. So you did a lot of travel then, Craig.
Oh yeah, 3 provinces, 28 on like probably 30 farms approximately. But it was an incredible adventure. I learned so much about flowers and produce. And cattle and just the processes. But yeah, the people were lovely. Like I had the best summer ever. It was 2-3 months of travel.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So when you visited all the flower farms, did you just like start rolling and let people talk? I mean, you probably had a few prompting questions, but how did you capture that story?
Yeah, so when I was in the agency world, we were always chasing after really big cameras. So we had the big $60,000 red cameras, and a lot of the clientele, as far as social media goes and social content, they can't afford like huge price tags on video production. And so I was always thinking, well, how can I disrupt this, and how can I do something different in the space? And I felt like cell phones were close to being where they needed to be for quality. And then with the iPhone 14 Pro Max, when that came out, I decided, okay, well, I'm going to try to go at this from a cell phone based videography perspective. And so
this was filmed on a cell phone?
Yeah, the whole thing was a cell phone.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So you pair that with some accessories to kind of up the production value, but it allows you to be so intimate, and I think that comes across. It also allows you to move at a pace that you couldn't with a large crew. So I think there's a definitely opportunity for cell phone based.
Your whole studio's in your back pocket. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, let's watch this video. We tried to set it up before we started recording, and basically all of our little thumbnails, folks, will cover the credits and the captions. So I'm going to disappear all of us, and we're going to show the video and then come back and talk to Jaimie Reeves. So thank you all so much. This has just been amazing. And let's go ahead and preview this beautiful video.
I want to be around plants and flowers, and I just love the environment. I love the planet. I think it's beautiful, and it's on fire now, which is awful. So yeah, anything we can do to keep emissions down and keep things local is really important to me. We specialize in local cut flowers. May to October is our season, and it's pretty steady for the whole go. So OFN hosts our wholesale shop. Growers upload their availability, their sort of catalog for the season, and that's where the buyers log in to shop for the product when they pick it up. It's not a traditional wholesaler where you don't have like a sales rep who you email or call and say, I'm looking for these things. What we do is we actually create a connection between the growers and the buyers. So if the florists are looking for anything specific, they will Slack or email the grower and just say, I'm looking for this cut flower on this month or week. Can you do something for me? And then, so I think the difference is there's much more of a connection between the buyer and the grower.
Basically, my job is spreadsheets, like 50% of the time. And when a grower gets an order from a buyer, they have something that's called a pack list. And I help like collect and distribute that pack list to our growers after those orders come in. And I liaison between about 30 small scale growers in Southern Ontario and 90 florists in the kind of surrounding GTA.
There's a few growers who are 2 hours is probably the max of distance outside of Toronto. So there's like Grey County, there's like Peterborough, that area. They come from all over.
I'm Teresa. This is actually my family home. I grew up here as a child. I think of flower farming like a playground. You might be on one of those roundabouts, one of those merry-go-round things, right? I scaled up and got on the fast one. And the fast one is where you're earning your living selling flowers wholesale, I say, and a mix of wholesale and retail likely, and probably doing some weddings too.
So Heirloom Heather was born out of the need to grow flowers sustainably. So I find that there is a huge gap in the market or availability to local florists for sustainable cut flowers. I love to grow flowers that are chemical free. I also love building up the soil and making ecosystem out of my plots. And yeah, I focus on full-scale weddings, a la carte weddings, and farmers markets. And I also sell to florists via the local flower collective. And this is what will go to the florist.
My name's Bernadette. I love working here because we get to see local fresh flowers every week. All the variety, all the colors. We get to see how creative minds work with this beautiful product that we have. Some of it's just prep, just making sure those flowers are safe and they're going to travel well, gauging the space in the cooler to make sure that everything stays fresh, because a lot of these florists aren't going to use the product until the weekend. So, just, taking care and keeping it fresh.
We support mainly sustainable local fair trade farms. So we order flowers from the local collective to support like Ontario farms and micro farms. They connect us to the micro farms, which are like the little guys, and to be honest with you, the local flowers are better than import.
Why's that?
I guess the lifespan of them getting shipped here is not as long, which means they're out of water for a longer period of time, versus here they're cut freshly, put in water, and delivered with water. We are doing a total of 6 events. Weddings, we have a Blue Jays contract, and a few other small a la cartes.
You've been been around it your whole life, and if you're still in it, I think that's just because you feel very deeply connected to it. I can't imagine not doing something with something living or growing in whatever type of capacity. So I've always been attracted to plants and flowers and gardening for that reason, because I grew up with it. But I also think the local part of it is because it's just about the environment for me. I want to keep the planet and the world as healthy and happy as possible. And the more local flowers that are used or on the market helps in any way to kind of curb emissions of things being flown around.
Hey, that was amazing, Jaimie. You must just be so proud of what you've accomplished with your group.
Yeah, it was great to finally see it all put together, because
yeah, Craig came in and filmed us, and we didn't get to see the rest of the farm tours. So it was beautiful to see it all finally come together.
Wow. Well, I've got so many questions for you. First of all, I'm thrilled that you're going to be part of the panel at the Slow Flowers Summit at Banff in June on co-ops and collectives, and basically collective flower selling, along with the two people from Island Flower Growers Cooperative in British Columbia. So we're going to cover kind of both sides of the country,
Mhm.
the continent. And I'm just wondering, first of all, before we talk about that, you said that you in the video, and also you say it on your floral design website, that you grew up in a family plant business. So talk a little bit about your path to flowers.
Yeah, so my family on my dad's side owned a garden center for a few generations. So that's what I grew up doing. Like, everyone in the family sort of worked at the farm, and whenever there was like a busy season, Dad would take me to work, and I would, run around in the houseplant section, and I'm sure bother everyone when I was a little kid, just driving everyone nuts. But that's what I grew up doing, and that's what I grew up being around. And as I got older, I'd work there on the weekends and on long weekends, and help with the busy season until I eventually just started working there full time. And so I've been in it my whole life essentially, and it's just a deep part of my family and my history, and I'm connected to it obviously for that reason, but I also just do love it. So there's that as well. That it was introduced to it through just my family, but I'm still in it because I just love it. So it was in Woodbridge, so Vaughan, Ontario. It's about like 30 minutes north of Toronto, so very close to Toronto.
Oh, okay. So then what led to your first floral venture, our first floral design venture, I guess, that you own, called Leaf and Bloom, because that is your design studio, really, where you're doing weddings and events, right?
Yes. What led to it? Oh, that's a good idea. That's good.
Or did you work for other florists before you started your own? Okay.
I did. So I worked for after I worked with my family in the floral department, which is kind of where I learned most of what I know, just in terms of making bouquets and corsages and boutonnieres and how to treat flowers and everything like that. I worked for another florist in Toronto for, I think, I'm terrible with years and times, but I think it was 3 years. And then after that point, a opportunity arose where someone was selling a flower business. And my family told me, this could be something you want to do. And so I thought, why not? I have the experience and the knowledge. So I purchased an existing retail flower shop on the Danforth, and I owned that for 4 years. And then decided that, decided that retail was not for me. So I just went into.
You basically worked in retail your whole life, really.
Yeah, exactly. And then from that, I moved into strictly just doing like studio-based weddings and events from there, and have been doing that ever since.
Wow. And at some point, you co-founded the collective. I know it was pre-COVID because it feels like a way long time ago, but you were one of the first that I'm aware of in Canada, and also one of the first in North America, who kind of created a flower hub for local flowers, and especially in a really unique urban environment. So I can't remember exactly when you formed that.
5 years ago. We had our 5-year anniversary party this November. So it's
yay! That's amazing.
Yeah, someone had to do the math on it because, like I said, I'm bad with years. But so 5 years ago, and this was, I think, right after I got out of retail and went into just studio wedding and event work. And I was sharing a studio with Carrie, who's also the co-founder. I was sharing a studio with her, and at that time there was
there were so many talented local farmers who would post their stuff on Instagram, and we'd see other floral friends use their product, and we were just like, oh my God, this stuff is so beautiful. And
how can we get our hands on it?
Basically, yeah. And and so just individually you reach out to the farmers and say, here's where I'm located, and you develop a relationship with them. And after talking to other florists in the area, and after talking to the growers, just realizing how much time they spent, because what they used to do was they would send out their Google spreadsheets of what they had available that week, and then they would drive to all the individual florists in Toronto or in the GTA, which was just, it would take all day. Like, I can't even.
Yeah. I mean, the traffic in Toronto is just like being in Manhattan or something. It's crazy.
Oh, it's awful. It's
yeah. I've driven in Toronto before.
Yeah. It's
not fun.
Yeah. No, and it just gets worse. But so these farmers who are spending, who need to spend most of their time in the fields, were spending so much time just driving around to the florists. And at the same time, the florists were kind of, were on a certain route, and they had to wait all day, and sometimes later into the afternoon and evening, to get their product. Obviously, understandably. So,
right, because you're just on the route, and you might be the last stop.
Exactly. Yeah. So just after a little bit of talking to the florists and the growers, and just being like, there's got to be a better way. And a few people in our floral community, like floral designer community, were like, we have to get like a place where everybody can just drop things off. And Natasha, who started and runs the Toronto Flower Market, helped us kind of get everybody together, get in a meeting, sit down with people, and just say, hey, what if we use our studio as the drop-off location, so everybody can just go back to work quicker and not waste their time on the road or waiting in the studio for their stuff to be delivered. And that was kind of it. There was a handful. I think there was maybe 10 people in the individual kind of meeting. And then from there on, we just sent out emails to the florists, our florist friends and florists who buy from the growers, and just say, would you be interested in something like this? And it was like kind of a unanimous, like, duh, let's do this.
Like a kind of real organic conversation, rather than a business plan and, funding. And I mean, you just grassrooted this, right?
Yes, there was no there was no business plan, no plan other than knowing that something better could be done with what we had in Toronto.
Well, on the video, we see a building. It's kind of like the back of a freestanding brick building where people are entering. Is that the back of your studio for Leaf and Bloom?
That's the whole studio. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, we moved in there. I moved in there, I guess in oh my God, the years again. Pre-COVID, 2021 or 2022. No, 2021. It was an old mechanic shop. And our landlord had just taken it over, I think, a year or two before. So he was converting all the units into not mechanic.
Something cleaner.
That's exactly. And what I knew I needed for the new location was a place large enough to sort everything. It had to be ground level, because you can't be bringing buckets up and down stairs or up and down elevators. There had to be parking and driving, which in Toronto is very, very hard to come by. So
like off street access for our vehicle. Yeah,
exactly. So luckily this place is close to, just a little bit north of the stockyards in Toronto's like northwest end. And it's close to the highways, so it's easy-ish for most people to get to when they're coming to or from other suppliers and their farms. It kind of just ticked all the boxes: ground level, parking, still in Toronto, accessible to people. But yeah, that is my whole studio, and it just gets taken over on Tuesdays and Wednesdays for the collective.
Well, I guess that works well. I mean, in a way, for kind of your hybrid personal model, you're probably designing weddings and events later in the week, Wednesday through Saturday, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes, especially during like COVID or the year after COVID, or 2021, I should say, when people were having weddings on like Thursdays and Fridays, that was a bit challenging, because the studio was just a bit chaotic at that time. But absolutely. For the most part, collective stuff is finished Wednesday afternoon, so you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday to do all your design work for weddings.
What's the square footage of the whole space?
1,100 square feet.
Okay, and you've obviously got a cooler.
Yeah, it's a 10 by 10 cooler.
Are you still sharing the space with your co-founder, or I think you said that she was doing something else now?
Yes, she left the collective, I think, right after COVID. Still, obviously, a strong supporter, and so grateful for her. Like, because of her, it just so happened that when I sold my retail business or portion business, she was going on maternity leave, so she had an empty studio. So I rented the studio from her, and then we started working together in the same studio when she was off mat leave, and we just that kind of that's the way things happened with her and I when I left the portion of my business and she had a baby was kind of just like what made everything happen.
It kind of goes back to that theme of women leading change. Like, women figure it out, and your personal life and your business professional life kind of integrate in a way that you just collaborate more, I think, than just feeling like you're by yourself. I mean, that's the whole beauty of the collective.
Yeah, exactly. And now a friend of mine who's also a florist and also a member of the collective moved into the studio when she sold her retail business. So the studio is a shared studio again. And we also took up a new unit in the building, which will be the part that we're going to rent out to our members. Because a lot of our members don't have their own studios, or they're working out of their homes, or they rent the studio from us when they have large events. So we just took over a new spot where all of our rentals are, and then also if they need an extra space to design in, they'll be working in that location.
Well, let me put up the local flower collective website and we can just walk through it. I know that we talked about with David about the sales platform kind of being turned off right now because of the season, but I think there's a lot that we can see. So I would like to pull that up in just a sec. I've got to find it on my computer. Here we go. And maybe you can just walk us through it. So this is the home page or the flash page. And then what are some of the tabs? Let's see, about and members. And so you've got growers and florists. So how does that work? People can join either like pay a fee to be a seller or to be a buyer. How does that?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So these are, what you're going through here is every year, depending on who our members are, they have a page or a profile as our members. So even if it's the off season, someone can go in and see our members. And for instance, Silk and Sumac sells ribbons. You can contact her and she has ribbons.
You've got a lot of people. Wow.
Yeah. It's so every time you go scroll through, it's like, oh my goodness, we have so many members. So it's just an introduction to them. Even in the off season, people can kind of figure out who grows flowers for the local flower collective and where they're located and what their specialty is. So once you're a member, you're added to this page, and the florists have their own. The florist size is about triple the size of this.
Oh, let me pull that tab up too.
Yeah, and so it's just a way also to advertise for them, like they have their a shot of what they think represents their business best and more information about what they do. So everyone who is a member, and yes, there are membership fees depending on how much you shop or what tier you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you're basically listed here for the whole year, and we try our best to promote our members throughout the season by resharing on Instagram and adding them to holiday guides in the newsletters and things like that. So basically, we get a listing on our site here.
That is crazy. That's a lot of people and a lot of moving parts. I don't know how you do it. I encourage people to go check it out because there is some good information on the frequently asked question page. I can't keep toggling back and forth between us, but it talks about who can become a member of the collective.
Yes.
why member. And so there's just it's just an amazing resource. And I guess what I'm most impressed of is the quantity of participants. And I guess that's just a reflection of it was the right time for you to do this, and you struck a chord and solved the need, both for the growers and the designers. And you're kind of in the middle between them.
Yeah, exactly. There is, I think that we have so many members because it is such a large community. Like Toronto is so big. And there's so many florists, and there's what I learn every year, and which surprises me because on the website there's a little application. So if you want to be a member, you just fill out the application, and I go through those every year. I'm just like, oh my God, there's new growers every time there's a grower application. I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And what we want to do, and what is challenging as well, is just to try to support as many people we can, no matter their size. Like even if they're a micro farmer, and they might not have as much as some of our larger growers, but they still want to be a member and they still want to sell through us. So finding a way to make that work for everybody is it's a challenge, but it's something I definitely want to do, support, no matter the size of people's.
So well, so the OFN, Open Food Network platform, it sounds like something you adopted pretty early on as a selling tool, and just talk a little bit about how that works and how do farmers use it and how do florists use it, because it sounds like something that if you were thinking about doing this in another market in Canada, you could tap in and use the same platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first few years of the collective, people were sending out like Google forms to choose what they wanted. And it was a little, it was just challenging because it was all these little bits and pieces from all these different growers. And we didn't know.
And then someone had to sort all those. And it was probably you, right?
Exactly. And we didn't really know what people had ordered. Like the farmers would just drop buckets off labeled with growers and labeled with the buyers' names. And the buyers would go, oh, I thought I was getting XYZ. And we'd kind of just be like
sorry.
Exactly. So I think it was the second or third year we realized we needed an online shop platform where everything could be in one place, just to make everything easier. And I researched a few places, and we're only open 7 months out of the year. And if you're looking at things like Shopify or any of those other places, you're paying for the whole year, and you're paying no matter how much you use it. And as you know, we didn't have a business plan. We were just like, we don't know how much these things cost. We don't know how much to charge people to be members. So it was all very, we didn't know where to start. And I forget which of our farmers mentioned Teresa and said Open Food Network, and just say, well, she's a flower farmer and she's also part of Open Food Network, and you should be in touch with her. And that's kind of where everything started. So
wow. What a blessing that you had sort of the inside track with someone who understood your needs, but could almost be like translation service for you.
100%. Everything, like Teresa was, she helped everything get started. She's the troubleshooter. She's like, anytime there's like a technical question about anything, she's just like, oh, let me do. It's like, we would not be where we are without Teresa for sure, because
wow.
Open Food Network was their ethos. I love what they stand for. It's very parallel to what the collective is about. I love the fact that you essentially pay for when you're using it, not just all year, no matter what, and flat fee. So it was a lot easier to figure out how to charge members based on that, as opposed to just flat fees all year round. So, and they're also very helpful. If you have any questions, or if you're like, is this possible in the system? They're really quick to say, oh yeah, it's in the works. We're talking to the developers now or something, or if that doesn't work, let's try this.
That's great.
So they've been integral, and it's been.
So you have the platform, and then the farmers, I'm assuming, are uploading. Are they doing images or just inventory?
No, it's images like what David was saying. It's very similar to on the buyer's end to shopping on any other website. It has an image, it has a price, it has who grows it, plus the description. So you know who you're buying from, so you can also message them directly and say, hey, I noticed you only have 2 bunches left online. Is there any way I can get 3 more? You know, like just in case,
Perfect.
something like that.
But you don't have to deal with it, Jaimie. It goes direct to the farmer.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, because as a member, we use, everyone's given everyone's email, and you can also use Slack to communicate directly with the grower. Because if someone emailed me and asked if I could get 2 more bunches of XYZ, I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just an added layer of communication that you don't have
Exactly
the bandwidth
exactly.
for. And then the but somehow the inventory keeps updating. So if those bunches are purchased, then all of a sudden that item is not available that week, and so you're managing expectations pretty well then too.
Yeah, so the growers, every week the shop opens on Thursday and closes Sunday night. So every Thursday the farmers go through their fields and kind of gauge roughly what they have left, and then they upload it, or rather update it on OFN. We strongly encourage them to upload their whole catalog in the like February, just so they're not doing it later.
Such a good idea.
You don't have time to do it once spring starts. So every week it gets inventory gets adjusted by the grower, and they do their best to gauge roughly how many bunches of things they have. But there's always a little bit of, I think they err on the side of caution, just to not short ship people.
Sure.
So that's how that works, and then the buyers log in and shop and pick up the following week.
So Jaimie, you're one of the buyers too, right? I mean, how are you like putting that hat on, because you've got weddings that weekend and you've got to get in an order as well?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean, the best thing for me is that every week the flowers come straight to my door, so I see them all and I can go, oh my God, I can use this for my wedding in the next 2 weeks, and I'll email the grower and I'll just say, hey, do you have so I am very lucky that way. Not everyone gets that, even though there's images online of what the flowers look like. As you know, when you see them in real life, it's a different thing altogether.
I mean, hey, this is the benefit of being the founder. You get to physically be there every week when the flowers come in. And I guess that makes me wonder also, when florists come in to pick up, they're also doing additional shopping for that reason, because they're seeing the groovy stuff that they all of a sudden realize they need.
Yeah, exactly. We do have what we call a market every week. So if the growers have extra stuff they want to drop off, or if they want to test a product, or they planted a whole field and only 2 bunches grew, they'll be like, I can't sell them at the market. So when the buyers come in, they also do see a lot of this stuff, but we also have market things available, so they can buy additional products when they pick up.
Well, I guess I want to close by asking you to riff a little bit more on what you said in the video about your values and your concern for the environment, and why you care so much about local flowers, because like, I'm all in with that, but where is the mindset of the customer right now? Is that are local flowers really gaining strength among the clientele of retail and wholesale designers? Obviously in weddings, that's one particular niche, but your customers are also own retail stores and are doing everyday flowers too, I would imagine.
Yes.
Your shoppers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think, and what I want to do more with the collective too is try to just educate the general public, because I think people see flowers as, even if they're imported, they just see them, oh, I'll just throw them in the organic bin and they're fine. And while it's true, it's that they've been flown from across the world and they're covered in pesticides. So there is that. And it's amazing how some people just think because they're flowers, it doesn't really matter. It's a natural thing, and you can even throw them in the garbage and it's going to be okay. But our florist members are really excited about the local flowers and the unique quality and the unique varieties that we can get. And I think when it comes to the purchaser on the end, who buy from the florist or buy from get the wedding flowers, is they also do see how unique that product is. And I think when you tell anybody it's local, they just, oh my God, that's great. That's so good to hear. And what I want it to be is like, to be something people strive for and just ask for instead of.
Right. Instead of just thinking, oh, it's a nice to have, but not a must have.
Exactly. So I think though, given how the collective is growing and how many more members we have every year, I think it is because the customers do prefer and do like shopping using local flowers, whether it's commercially grown, like greenhouse grown or field grown, like our members do. But they actually are intrigued by the types of varieties that they see, and then when they know that it's local, like locally grown 2 hours outside or even closer to Ontario or Toronto rather, they're happier about that, and they prefer doing that. And a lot of our members do have retail shops, and so it just makes me happy to know that more local flowers are out there being purchased.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Wow. Well, we could keep going, but I'm going to save some of it for the Slow Flower Summit. So people who come will get to hear more of your philosophy on how to build a local collective. And I am going to ask you and the other presenters, everybody gets to design something. So maybe you can if we're lucky, you'll bring some goodies from the Local Flower Collective to design with. So I figure you could just check a box of flowers as luggage and come on over to Banff.
I know.
And they'll only be a day or two old, so they'll be great.
I know. I am really excited about that part. Like I'm just going to hopefully find some stuff local in Banff as well. But yes, put some things on the plane and ship them over. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, we're going to be bringing in flowers. The details are not all worked out yet, but there's a new cooperative group in Edmonton, and so that's only about 3 hours away. So you will have Alberta grown flowers. Amazing. Maybe not Banff, unless in Banff there'll be like mountain wildflowers that you're not allowed to pick.
True, exactly. We'll have to figure that out.
Jaimie, thanks so much for sharing your story and just for being part of the Slow Flowers community. You're really a leader, and I know you don't stop and think about it, but this film and this collaboration with a larger organization like the Open Food Network is real confirmation to what you've achieved in 5 years.
Yeah, it was so incredible to see it all come together, because every year we've wanted to do something like that, introduce the farms and get people more into the farms, and seeing it all come together was great. Finally,
yeah, it's got to be so gratifying. Well, wonderful. We're going to air this right before Christmas, so have a wonderful holiday and enjoy the downtime, the little bit of downtime that you're going to get, and we'll share this widely along with all your resources for both the Local Flower Collective and Leaf and Bloom.
Amazing, awesome.
Okay, thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.